Great. So let's get into the daily graphic for this morning. Africa must be self-reliant in financing development. That's according to President John Dramani Mahama. And aftermath of government directive, minority condemns job terminations, but majority leader says government stands by decision. And the majority leader has introduced, some financial clearance issues in here. The minority leader makes the point that President Mahama, while in opposition, felt it was bad precedent to do that. So what has changed now that, the NDC is in government and is, terminating the appointments of people? I ask this question. The people who've been appointed into these positions, now, if we terminate the appointments and these people get home with no jobs and we replace them with others, what have we done? Wouldn't it be better for us to create avenues where we can employ more? I don't have a problem when the CEOs and those people leave. In fact, the political class has agreed on that. So once that happens, you've heard the NPP members say, why are the CEOs still at post? If you speak to any NPP CEO, he will tell you, I am at post until a new person is appointed. They know they are going to leave. But how about that person whose only crime may be applying for a job, and there are people who applied for jobs and got appointed on the 1st of December. Some of them on the 1st of January. I can understand. You say, but why didn't they appoint them until the 1st of January? But are they not Ghanaians? If you sack them and replace them with people perceived to be party people, what have you done? Is that how we've reduced governance to?
I have a technical question.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was almost impossible to sack people from the civil service and the public service.
If they are civil servants, right? But if these guys are not civil servants.
So who are these people?
These are public servants.
Interesting.
Yeah.
They are easier to sack.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Also on the front page, 159.9 million teacher trainee allowance for 2023-2024 unpaid. I do not think that, my position on the teacher trainee allowance is known. But also, Dame criticizes court case withdrawals by the Attorney General, and on Newsfile also the conversations continued. I've made a simple point. It will be important for us to know the Attorney General should share with us the memo written to the Attorney General on the withdrawal of the case against Dr. Johnson Isiama. It will be important for us to know, for instance, because he says, there was a memo to that effect. Where is that memo? Share with us. Let us see, because the former Attorney General says, to the best of his knowledge, there's no such memo. I would want us to clear that, gap, that lacuna. Was there a memo or there's no memo? Let's see the memo. Let's see what he said on it. For me, that's very important.
And Winston also, there's this, over the weekend, I was involved in a serious argument with someone, and the argument was that even with respect to the case against Dr. Johnson Isiama, in what capacity did he sign that, the support for the banks? Wasn't it that if, for instance, Kojo Yankson, the CEO of a company, takes a decision for the company, do you hold that individual out because that decision was taken in the interest, or that decision was taken because he was the CEO, he was the deputy CEO? So the argument is that in that particular case, wasn't it a board decision or a collective decision by the Bank of Ghana that they should extend X amount of money to this one? So then why do you hold that individual out as a person? Because he didn't sit somewhere. We understand, or we are picking up, or what is being argued out is that it was a board decision, it was a Bank of Ghana decision. So it's an interesting argument with respect to how do you hold one individual out when an institution takes a decision.
This is what the court is supposed to determine, right? The person has been brought to court, so it's up to the person's defense to make that case. My interest is in what is happening now, where these cases have been discontinued. Okay, now the current Attorney General has made the decision to come and explain these decisions to us. And by the way, this memo that we are all talking about here, it's related to one of the cases that have been dismissed. He didn't get memos to dismiss all the cases. He claims he got a memo to dismiss this one, right? So we still wonder what his answers are to the issues raised by the former Attorney General on all the other cases. But let's even stick to the memo. The beauty of memos is that they are a wonderful old school way of keeping track of communication. A memo will tell you who wrote it, when it was written, who sent it, when it was sent, who received it, and when it was received. You get all that from a memo. Okay? So if that memo exists, then there should be no debate.
Yeah.
The memo should be produced, and we will see immediately who wrote it, who sent it, who received it. Then we'll know who's telling the truth, who's not telling the truth. This back and forth is unnecessary. I hear over the weekend somebody said, oh, the memo was shredded. The old Attorney General shredded the memo. Then how did the new one read from it? You get my point. So let's start getting real here. If there's a memo, let's see it. It will put this to bed.
Great, but Kojo, before we get to the Business and Financial Times, Pakwesi Barnes has a simple question for you.
Oh, yes.
He says, please ask Kojo what he was doing on the Spintex Road that has caused him to be saying Spintex thanks post Valentine blues. Emphasis is on Valentine. Let's move on.
Well, to the Ghanaian Tag Lee story, let's restore the lasting peace to Bokoso, says the Asantehene appeals to factions as well. And also President John Mahama calls for justice, equity for Africans. He was speaking at the African Union, is it the meeting or heads of state meeting in Ethiopia, and also the Minister for Works and Housing work on the Tamale water supply to commence soon, and 9 dead, 15 injured in the Wale Wale road crash. That is the stories in the Ghanaian Times. Also, the Business and Financial Times, Energy Minister meets with the oil producing companies. The Ghana Stock Exchange eyes new IPOs in 2025 as pension funds seeks options for idle cash. Ghana remains strategic as an investment hub despite challenges. That's according to the IFC, and also industrial policy key in boosting domestic mining support services. Also, AI growth hinges on education, investment, and regulation. Those are the lead stories on the front page of Business and Financial Times.
Now, the Economy Times for today says, exploit mineral resources receipts to make up tax cut revenue loss. And that's coming from Dr. John Kwache, and so according to the story, he's called on the government's economic team to fully exploit resource receipts to make up for revenue gaps that would arise due to tax cut proposals. Now, he also indicated that abolishing taxes should come along with measures to plug tax loopholes, broaden tax net. I'm sure that sounds very familiar, doesn't it? Kojo and George. Broaden the tax net. Strengthen tax administration and stem tax evasion. And he's also talked about the fact that government should be careful in the cancellation of the betting tax. George and Kojo, we come back to this issue
all the time.
I think that, look, some payments should be made to the state from betting winnings. I do not think that wholesale cancellation is the way to go.
I'm with you, Winston, and I'll be honest, the general principle is what I'm working with, that if you earn something, you must pay a tax on it.
Exactly.
It's just a simple thing. Whatever you earn, pay a tax on it. Okay? As long as you earned it legally, you pay a tax on it. Look, in this country, some of the things that some of the income that is earned illegally, we tax it. Do you know that? Local authorities. If you go and set up your stall at a place where it shouldn't be, so you are doing something illegal, the local authority will still come and collect their toll from you.
Streets,
Okay? So this is a nation that taxes. I mean, like every other nation in the world, you pay your way. So I understand you are hustling, you are struggling, you don't have money, so you've decided that as for you, you are going to bet. Okay, so you bet and you win. Pay tax. I mean, I don't understand. Why must you be exempt? What is? Let me hear the debate, the explanation. Why, as for your income, you shouldn't pay tax on it? Did you not earn this income? Did you not win?
You
pay tax.
You make a very important point about earnings. And I remember in my taxation class, let me say good morning to Dr. John Amu. there was a conversation.
What pass? Why? Don't worry.
Oh no, I passed already. So there's a conversation. There was a conversation about taxing prostitution. And the debate was, at the PhD, there was it's only debates you engage in. The debate was simply this. What they get is classified as their earnings. So they should pay. But then next question is, but that's, earnings from an illegality. Says, well, our tax laws doesn't define how you earned it.
Thank you.
In fact, what has happened in a lot of the instances, if you go to other countries, where they get criminals and they're unable to, get evidence for their crimes, they resort to the non-payment of their taxes.
Exactly.
That's always what they do. They use the tax evasion route to grab them.
Al Capone.
I was going to mention this. I mean, that's the point. I mean, once it became difficult to get, evidence of the crime, they used the non-payment of tax evasion.
Yeah. We don't care how you make your money.
Yeah.
Do you pay your tax?
Long story short, it will be important for us to ensure. I mean, we can have a progressive tax arrangement. So if you win from, say, this to that amount, you pay this percentage of tax. If you win that to that amount, this percentage of tax. But to wholesale say, don't pay taxes.
No,
I think
that
that's
doesn't make sense. It
That's
doesn't make sense. Everywhere I know in this world, if you win the lottery, you pay a tax on it. The UK, you win the, what's it called, the rollerball or the mega millions or whatever they call it. You could win £6 million. You will pay tax.
But some are saying that this is just, these are peanuts if you look at the amount of winnings that these young guys are winning.
So the idea is that...
And it didn't come from them.
So the idea is that...
a then presidential candidate who thought that...
So the idea is that just like with your income, certain amounts, the tax you pay on it is negligible. Or in some cases, certain amounts are even exempt. So yes, we can set up that structure for them too. It's the same thing you are earning. So based on how much you earn, then we determine how much tax you
win, like
should pay.
50,000 Ghana cedis.
I don't know what the example will be. But if you and I, we pay tax on our 5,000, 10,000, whatever, 15,000, 20,000 salary. And if somebody also goes to bet and wins 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, they should also pay tax. Anna.
So, Ani Sabute sends this one.
I'm laughing already.
Oh, he says, so after enduring all the anti-Arsenal trolling drafts and I hate cash for saying we are winning the league, then I pay tax on it? Did you endure the trolling with more? Good morning to you guys.
As I say, after enduring all the waking up at dawn and coming to work and you people insulting us on social media, when I get my salary, I pay tax on it.
Okay, let's continue. We all pay taxes, don't we?
Yeah.
Ghana's economic woes are self-inflicted, says the World Bank, cautions against rushing back to capital markets. And so, Ghana's economic challenges, we're told, has been attributed to unguided fiscal systems, which has led to, overburdened debt accumulation and unmatching revenues. And the World Bank believes the weak expenditure controls enabled a vicious cycle leading to reduced fiscal space and unsustainable debt accumulation, particularly over-reliant on external commercial debt. And while we're having this conversation, I know that in the preparation of our budget, which is ongoing, now it's going to be read on the 11th of March.
Instead of 10th, yeah.
It's a 10 initially?
No, initially, but it was a Monday, and Monday members, so it's been moved to Tuesday. Yeah.
Yes, so I know we've been having this conversation back and forth about, what are we going to do, what are we not going to do? I know the Ministry of Finance is actually grappling with the gap, the revenue gap that would arise as a result of tax cuts and rationalization of other, tax handles. And the conversation is, how do we do that? So you need to reduce expenditure. It's made so easy.
But where are you going?
It's not that easy.
You have a fund program now. The president is talking about at least Kojo. For now, the program would not be extended when it ends.
Yeah, that's not his plan. That's not the plan for now. Yeah,
and the reality is that maybe the fund program has put some brakes or restrictions on you. Going into an election year, do you still want to be under a fund program or have that space to do what you have to do?
Well, Professor Mills asked them, we're told, why are they in a hurry to leave when we're done with the IMF program? Because Professor Mills was of the view, and there are many Ghanaians who've held that view also, and the facts support that we only do well and when we're under a fund program.
We
Yeah.
only do the right thing.
Yes.
So we
We're
are
under a
forced to
fund
do the
program.
right thing that we are supposed to do.
So it's obvious that politicians just don't get it. They just don't get it. President Mahama has one term, has a chance to right the wrongs of the past. And so my expectation is he will do things differently. Because if we continue like we have done over the past, we will go back again begging. And today Ghana has become the example of how not to manage an economy. That's what we've become.
Yeah.
So when people are talking about managing an economy wrongly, they use Ghana as that example. When people are talking about a country that at a point in time was being praised and rushed the capital market consistently over a period and eventually crashed its economy, Ghana is that example.
Yeah.
Do we want to be the bad example all the time? I certainly do not think that we want to be the bad example.
I'll tell you what, though. For me, the practicality of it is what interests me. This year, we have this bill to pay on the domestic debt program, 15 billion. I think it's cedis, right? Not dollars.
We did,
Right.
yeah.
So we have 15 billion cedis to pay this year alone. Now, in speaking to Bloomberg, the president said that his plan for that is to re-establish the sinking fund,
Yeah.
right, and dedicate resources to it, right. Where are these resources coming from? Right, 15 billion. That's about $1 billion.
And you want to cut taxes
right?
that is bringing in
Yes,
over
we're
10
going to be
billion
collecting
Ghana
less
cedis.
tax. So where are we getting $1 billion to pay back the domestic debt, program people? However, look, while we are thinking about all of this, let's also not forget oral. According to the committee, there's some $21 billion to be collected
And
back.
recovery could be spread
to
over
be
a period.
recovered.
It's
Well,
not
yes,
just a year.
but can we get 1 billion of it this year?
Maybe. You never
Can
know.
we?
Maybe.
From where though? Which of the things?
State assets that have been taken by someone, you take it and sell it. You realize the money.